Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Clemmontime podcast. I am Tyler Clemens, and thank you for checking out my podcast. Last week's picks against the spread, I did not do so well. As a matter of fact, I went 6-10, and I was not anticipating doing that at all. I went 8-8 the first week. Really thought I was going to improve on some things, but the NFL is so unpredictable that it's hard to tell this early in the season who's going to be impactful for their team and who's not going to be. And right now with week two, some teams you're sure about going into week three, others not so much. And I think I had a pretty good uh, week. Could have had a little bit better though. Rams really janked me with the blocked field goal, back-to-back blocked field goals, I should say, in that game. And the Buccaneers also had a blocked field goal which also jacked us up. So I think I had 14-2 against the spread this week. I ended up being 12-4 against the spread. And we're going to start week three's picks with the one and only my Miami Dolphins. So Dolphins, it's plus 12.5 against the spread. And I don't ever like picking games for a favorite to win, even if it's my team or the opposing team. That's really what Dolphins were at plus 12.5 in that game. And I told everybody that knows I'm a Dolphins fan that we are about to get a mud hole stomped right in our eyes. I guess all that talk was very motivating for them. We did see the Dolphins in week two get back to some of the things that made them this explosive offense with Mike McDaniel. And then again, we had moments where we couldn't figure out grass from our elbow as well. I think Mike McDaniel had his best coaching job, work, done, whatever you want to call it, in this game against Buffalo. The one stat that stands out to me most is the fact that Tua, with the amount of completions he had, didn't even have 150 yards of passing. You don't know how frustrating that is when you see this man dropping back and you know 2 years ago and 3 years ago that they just had two of the best seasons that you could have possibly had in Miami Dolphins history. Tyreek Hill had 117 catches in back-to-back seasons and almost 1,800 yards in both. And then last year, Tua gets a contract and he gets hurt. People from the get go, when he signed that contract, spoke to the fact that if the Dolphins have Tua, they'll be playoff contender. Do you see that in 3 weeks? I don't. And I'm a diehard Dolphin fan. I'm optimistic, but I'm also realistic in the fact that there is some mental blocks in Tua's game. And Mike McDaniel is calling plays based off what he has seen with Tua. I'm sure Tua's in his head that I can't run because if I run, I'm getting knocked out because I don't know how to not put my head down. Yet you see guys like Lamar Jackson from the time he came into the league, people were saying that he wouldn't be able to do what he did in college in the NFL. And so far, he's been able to do it. And if I'm not mistaken, he's the all-time leading rusher for quarterbacks in yards. Unless he's still behind Michael Vick, but I believe he passed him. The Buffalo Bills win that game 31-21. Down to the wire, 21-21. And Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit both on the commentary were super surprised that they even had a game on their hands like that. In an NFL game, not a college game. This is NFL. Any given Sunday is what they say. Now you get any given Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. Sometimes Fridays and Saturdays. But the Dolphins' offense, it's not there, but there's plays to be made. And Tua is so messed up after you get him off his first read that he has not been able to get back on track. And the problem is he doesn't have the physical arm strength to get there. So he basically told you that I don't have the arm strength to throw off balance to get a throw there. I need to be set. My feet need to be set up to where I can step and throw. And if I can't step and throw, then I don't even try to anticipate a throw. that I can't make. And when he does, the ball's behind. It looks bad. He tries to throw the ball on the run, and it looks like he has thrown this football with everything in his might to get it to where it needs to go. The catch that Tyreek had on the scramble by Tua and the throw and catch, he had an easier play to make. He really did. Waddle was wide open on a poster close to field. If he could have saw him, stepped into it, and fired it down there and gave him a chance, he could have underthrown it because nobody was around Jalen Waddle. Well, yet, can't make that throw. Now we're throwing a 20-yard deep out or comeback route that's really like 35 to 40, and it is just sailing across the field. Sailing. I think Mike McDaniel has handicapped himself to the fact that Tua might be in his head, and he's trying to keep Tua out of his own head. The weirdest thing. Dolphins got to do better, much better play clock management in this game, but still big mistake, rough to punter. They go down and score on that drive. And yeah, the whole little muffed fumble right there before the half. I don't think Josh Allen took care of that ball. I think it's a fumble, and he might be able to scoop that up and take it to the house or set up a scoring opportunity. Who knows? But very questionable there. But the Dolphins defense stepped up big time. They got to Josh Allen, good coverage. I think the more the secondary plays together, the more chemistry they're going to have. But when you wait until the last week of the offseason to sign or in the preseason to sign somebody to be on your team to play cornerback, like there's a real chemistry and communication going on back there in the secondary. It's just not call a defensive play and know that I have this half or I have this guy. It's switch offs, handoffs. Like there's things like if you can communicate in the play, there's no rules or restrictions to what you can do on defense. But if you can't communicate, offenses are going to expose that. Dolphins are on 3, but I picked them plus 12.5. So I start that week 3 NFL picks against the spread 1-0. And now we're going to move on to Atlanta and Carolina. Wow. What happened to the Falcons? You just had an amazing game against the Vikings. And then you come out and just lay a goose egg. You get shut out by the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers in the week before is having a shootout with Arizona 28-29, and Atlanta's beating a good Minnesota team. And then you go into the next week and you can't even put up a point. Michael Penix looked bad. Michael Penix didn't play 17 games last year, but Michael Penix has tendencies, and the NFL might have figured it out a lot sooner than later. I don't know what happened. Michael Penix, 25, 26-year-old, second year in the league. I mean, you want to talk about brain being fully developed at 25, how much more the offense you understand, how much better you read coverage is, especially pre-snap at that age, but just can't get anything going. I picked Carolina plus 3.5, and they pitch a 30-0 shutout. And I mean, that's for the Falcons. Um, really just don't make any sense to what happened. What did you practice all week leading up to that? They really are. But Michael Penix goes 50%, 18 of 36, 172 yards, and 2 interceptions. Wasn't sacked him, but what what happened? Panthers Bryce Young, d- really, he didn't do anything to win the game. He just didn't do anything to lose it. 16 to 24, 121 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He got sacked one time. 24 pass attempts, 30 rushes. I mean, the Panthers didn't do anything offensively besides capitalize on turnovers, and just no words for the Falcons. They're really digressing, and you have Kirk Cousins back there. He's a veteran quarterback who is going to be a starter, but now he's more there to be a mentor to Michael Penix. He also might be someone that you're going to bring into a game now and give him a spark, but he also could be some trade bait. And Kirk Cousins is going to be good trade bait. just like someone else we're going to talk about on the Sunday night game. Falcons just completely wet the bed in this. I mean, you didn't put up any points. You cut Younghoe Koo, and you bring in your other kicker, who just completely missed both field goals, both two. You should have 6 points, but your kicker just cannot seem to make a field goal. And I'll give you the average right now in the field goal. 49-yard field goal. Can't seem to make that one. And the Falcons, the longest drive that they had offensively. I mean, it was just the most stagnant offense you'd ever see. Listen to these drives. 10 plays, 42 yards, missed field goal. 3 plays, 4 yards. 4 plays, -3 yards. 8 plays, 47 yards. 5 plays, 24 yards. 4 plays, 47 yards. That's the first half. It's 10-0. The Panthers didn't take advantage of any of that. In the midst of that, the Panthers also had a 9-play, 61-yard drive for their first drive. And must have been a muffed punt somewhere in there because it's 3 plays, punt, 4 yards, and then the Falcons get the ball again, and then it's 4 plays, -3 yards, missed field goal, and the field goal was 55 yards. So, hey, 55-yard field goal, that's a little tough. Brandon Aubrey says 55, more like 35 for me. We don't know. I, I just cannot explain what the Falcons are doing. You just best guarantee that the next game that I pick, it will be the other team if they're favored. Falcons are completely unreliable. Completely unreliable. I mean, first game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right down to the wire. Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield kick a game-winning field goal. They did it 2 weeks in a row. So, yeah, 3 weeks in a row. I take that back. Don't know, but Panthers and Falcons, I mean, same division, same conference, all that good stuff. Terrible game, though. That was a tough one to watch there. Moving on to Green Bay at Cleveland. So I did pick plus 3.5 Carolina on that. They won by 30. 2-0 going into this next pick here. Green Bay at Cleveland. What happened to Green Bay? Was ready to consider Green Bay Packers a Super Bowl favorite. Legitimately a Super Bowl favorite. Looked really good on offense. Defense looked like they were shutting everything down. And they did. They allowed 10 points. And they allowed that last second field goal after another blocked field goal. There were so many blocked extra points and field goals. I think there was 5 or 6. 2 of them were returned for touchdowns, maybe 3. The amount of blocked extra points on special teams has just been absolutely crazy in this past week. It doesn't normally happen. I mean, you're going to jump right over the holding after the previous week. You had the Denver Broncos in the Colts game where Denver gets called for a leverage penalty. Colts re-kick it, and the guy just drains it. And now the Broncos will get to it. They're running 2 now. Who would have thought? Green Bay was a 9.5 point favorite. They went minus 9.5. You didn't think Cleveland was going to stand a chance, especially last week against Baltimore. Baltimore really put it on them. And Green Bay just being so good. Packers went to the dog pound and realized that they get down and dirty in Cleveland. And anytime that they're in Cleveland, they have a chance to win. Joe Flacco won them the game. Joe Flacco kept the Cleveland Browns in that game. And Quinshon Judkins is a guy. Is a guy. I don't know if anybody watched how he runs, but he takes so many steps when he runs. His feet up and down so fast. It's definitely noticeable. I saw him running. I thought, wow, he looks like he's covering a lot of ground, but man, he's got super short steps. Phenomenal back. I think he's going to be a monster in this league. Browns take that 13-10, and Jalen, he's so up and down. I don't know what's up with him. 18-25, 183 yards, a touchdown, interception, 5 sacks on the Green Bay Packers. The run game is a strength. Not very strong in this game. 31 team rushes, 81 yards. Josh Jacobs, 16 carries for 30 yards. 1.9 average. That's what Josh Jacobs had. And Josh Jacobs, just his last season with the Green Bay Packers, noting that he did come from the Raiders, rushed for 1,300 yards. He averages 4.4 yards a carry. On the season right now, he's down to 3.1 yards. That is way down for him. And if you keep on this trend, he's gonna have a lot of carries for very little yards. Joe Flacco, 21 to 36, 142. Joe Flacco had a Tua game. Nobody wants to mention that. Nobody wants to mention that. People just want to mention the fact that Tua was throwing these balls across the field that looked like dunks. Joe Flacco's got a cannon on his arm and people know it, but when he throws for about the same amount of yards and the same amount of attempts and completions, nobody wants to say anything. Joe Flacco, 21 to 36, 142, no touchdowns. One interception. Just bear with me. My cat's over here being a menace. All right, I am 1,000% confident that this magic edit is going to take that whole little shenanigans thing out. My cat's being a menace in there. And I'm trying to just record my podcast so I can go show him some love. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars, -1.5 favorite. The Jaguars were. And that was who my pick was. I picked the Jaguars because Trevor Lawrence made me a believer. 2 weeks in a row, played much better. And this week, they do get the win. But my man, CJ Stroud, dude, you are really regressing. You are not looking like rookie year CJ Stroud. Last year was a sophomore slump year, so there should be a little bit of slack given on the aspect of, hey, guys had film against you. There's things you're going to have to work on to get better. I don't think CJ Stroud has gotten any better at anything, and maybe he was the best that he was going to be. I mean, Andrew Luck. So nobody really says this about Andrew Luck, but when Andrew Luck came out of Stanford, he was pro ready when he came out. You don't hear that about a lot of people. Most people, they want to talk about the potential that they have when they come out and how well they could possibly do. Jamarcus Russell, physical attributes gets him drafted. People were skeptical of Cam Newton. He had physical attributes, but he worked on his game and got better. Nobody said he was NFL ready, but he had potential, right? Another example would be Dak Prescott. Did Dak see did anybody see Dak Prescott doing anything that he does now at Mississippi State? Absolutely not. Not at all. He just got an opportunity. He worked on it, capitalized on it, took Tony Romo's job. Trevor Lawrence, physical attributes. Nobody said he was pro ready, but people expect him to just be great. And he's gotten better this year. He's only 3 weeks in, but he's gotten better. CJ Stroud, 3 or 4 year start at Ohio State. Nobody thought he was pro ready. Had the physical attributes though, stronger arm. I believe he took some type of IQ test and it tested lower than I guess average or something like that. And people held it against him. And it has nothing. I mean, that test is I mean, you can count it for whatever you want. But there are people that have done absolutely poorly on that test. And it didn't mean anything to their NFL career. And there's people that have done great and hardly had an NFL career. So the fact that there's a Wonder League test, that it doesn't hold much weight. It really doesn't. But Andrew Luck, when he came out of Stanford, was NFL ready. That means when he came out, he was at the best possible level of his game that he could be. Tell me something that he could have got better on when he came out. I mean, he did everything at an NFL level coming out of college. So from the time he came in to the time he decided to retire, he was just at an all pro level, essentially, what everybody thought. You know, he could have a bad game, but then he'd come back and play better, or he could start a game bad and turn it around by the second half. Nobody held it against him at all if he had a bad game. Same thing with Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady, when he had bad games when he was older in his career, everybody would want to tell him he's washed up. It's time to retire, Tom. It's time to retire. And in those same years that would happen, Tom would go on and win a Super Bowl, play in a Super Bowl. So that doesn't always mean anything if you have a bad game. If you consistently have a bad game, you're missing reads, you're missing throws, holding on to the ball too long, people are going to start second guessing. And I think CJ Stroud is starting to fall in that category, unfortunately. So until CJ Stroud can be a guy that Houston can lean on and win them games and keep them in games, if the defense is struggling, excuse me, that's what's going to matter. Jacksonville does look a lot better with the new head coach there, and so does Trevor Lawrence. So they get me to 3-1 against the spread. We're going to go ahead and move on to Cincinnati. Cincinnati traveled to Minnesota. Minnesota's -3.5 favorite. I chose them as the -3.5, and they just put a shellacking on Jake Browning and the Bengals. Bengals did not have an answer. And Isaiah Rhodes, I believe his name was, on the defense for the Vikings, just had a career day. Interception for a touchdown, fumble recovery for a touchdown. Hell, he forced it and picked it up and ran it back. Incredible play by the Vikings defense after the Falcons just ran right through the heart of the defense. All in week 2. Bengals have a backup quarterback. What can you honestly expect from them every week? And Jake Browning's a backup for a reason. He's good. Don't get me wrong, but he's a backup for a reason. So the play calling is gonna change. Like you don't call a game the same way for Joe Burrow that you call it for Jake Browning, and if you do, you're lying. Or if you say you do, you're lying. Bengals had no answers for anything. I think you get down like that, you can't run the ball. 21-53, 21 yards for 53, 21 carries for 53 yards. Sorry, and Jake Browning 19-27, 140 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And Carson Wentz gets that start, 14-20, 173, 2 touchdowns. And Carson Wentz threw the ball less than Tua, threw the ball less than Joe Flacco, and threw the ball less than Joe Burrow. Had more yards than all of them. Not combined, but each one had more yards than each one of those. The efficiency on his passes, 8.7 yards. I mean, you're basically getting 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1 if you're in a 1st and 10, 2nd and 10 situation. We are getting first downs on 3rd and short. These are big time plays. 31 carries, 169 yards. Jordan Mason just ran through the Bengals. 16 for 116, 7.3 a carry. 2 Vikings rolling that. Defense looks great. I think the Vikings are going to be a contender once again. And hey, the Bengals had a bad game, but they're 2-1. Jake Browning is going to get better. He will be better. He proved it when he started 2 years ago. He just needs some time, and of course, um, Jamar Chase is still going to get that attention. What I see though is T. Higgins is really getting neglected out there. He's got 7 catches for 104 yards on the year. Really need to step that up. Got to get him some more targets. It's only 14 targets all season, 7 catches. So he's catching 50% of those coming his way. 48-10 final. Vikings take that one. Gonna go ahead and move on to Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England Patriots. Holy shit. The Pittsburgh Steelers won this game, but the Patriots did everything they could to let them win this game. I mean, 5 turnovers in a game. You don't know how you expect to win on 5 turnovers, first of all. Stevenson, the tailback for the Patriots, has butter on his forearms, wrists, hands. Can't hang on to the dang football. I play him in fantasy. He absolutely shits the bed after he just kills the Dolphins the week before. But Aaron Rodgers went 16 of 23, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He wasn't sacked at all. They win. Remember how many yards I said 2 or 3, 4 in his completions? Why isn't anybody talking about the amount of yards Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco have thrown for? I mean, Aaron Rodgers needs to have less attempts, but yeah, you're at 6 yards of completion, man. 16 to 23, and people are giving my man Tua so much shit. Trying to step up for him a little bit here. Drake May, 28 of 37, 268. There we go. 29 carries, 119 yards for the Patriots. I mean, listen to the stats here. This just tells you that the Patriots handed this thing right on over to the Steelers. Steelers' total yards of offense is 203. New England Patriots, 369 yards of offense, 10 total drives for Pittsburgh, 9 total drives for the Patriots. What is going on? Nobody's talking about that though at all. At all. Everybody's just completely looking over some of these things. Aaron Rodgers is playing like a 41-year-old. Aaron Rodgers is going to probably play, and the Steelers are 2-1. Their next game is going to be in Dublin this Sunday. It's going to be a 9:30 a.m. kickoff against the Vikings. I mean, I'm going to take the Vikings the -2.5 here on this when the picks come out. I'll be doing those tomorrow, Friday. But you don't see the Steelers having a very good offensive game against the Vikings coming up. Not much to say about it. I mean, Patriots are definitely better. With Mike Vrabel there and Josh McDaniels, the Patriots are better. You can see it. Turnovers cost them that game. 5 turnovers. Just score twice on those drives. Heck, score once and go for 2 and you win the game. But you can't turn the ball over. Drake May is going to be good. I don't think he's going to be Tom Brady. I don't think he's going to be Peyton Manning. But I think he's going to be a really good quarterback in the AFC East. Along with James Allen. Patriots, though, you can't do that. And Vrabel's he knows there's going to be a learning curve with these guys. There's going to be growing pains, but they'll get better. They definitely will. Moving on, Rams at Philadelphia, and since the Dolphins played Thursday night, I got to actually watch probably 6 to 7 games for the most part. Flipping back and forth. The Rams had this. The Rams had it in the bag, like all the way in the bag. They just had to close the zipper. Just had to close it. Had too much in the bag. Too much. 21-point lead just completely evaporates for the Rams. For the 21 points that they scored, let me actually tell you what it was because the Eagles scored, I believe, the last 24 points of that game and blocked 2 field goals back to back. Not one, and then 15 minutes later, another no, back to back. How could you not emphasize making sure that you just give enough effort to hold the guy up in front of you so they don't block the kick? Special teams is something that is just completely effort. It is completely effort based. You may not be good at linebacker, you may not be good at safety, you may not be the best receiver, but by golly, if you can just give me 100% effort, you're going to have a roster spot because you're going to go down there 100 miles an hour and try to make a play. So going into the third quarter at some point in time, it was 26-7. The Eagles proceeded to score the next 26 points. Win that game 33-26. I had the Rams plus 4.5. Even if I didn't make the field goal and it didn't get ran back. Hey, I'm picking against the spread, so this is a competitive nature coming out. Just with that one there, 13-3. Instead of 12-4. 13-3. After 6-8 week last week. And I picked these honestly. I'll show you these, and I'll have to continue to talk while I show you it, because if I don't, then my magic episode will completely delete this out. But you can see my picks. You can see where I got it right and got it wrong. Maybe you can't. But if I put it right in front of the camera, it's just all white. Oh, you saw there for a second there, so I'm going to keep talking. If I put it closer, maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Not sure how this thing works. I got the Dolphins logo in the background. Things are going to be a little complicated sometimes. Continue to move on with this, but geez, man, Philadelphia Eagles, just being the defending champs that they are, they come back, they play hard. A.J. Brown gets involved in this game, and the Rams just can't do nothing offensively. They just completely shut down in the second half. Completely shut down. And you would think a Sean McVay team wouldn't do that. But hey, it's week 3 in the NFL. Things like this are going to happen, and they did. Philadelphia Eagles, though, 3-0, Rams 2-1. Moving on, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Giants. That was a -6.5 for the Bucks, and I took it. And what do you know? Another freaking block kick. Jumped right over the freaking center. Ran this thing all the way back. Had the game in the bag. In the bag again. All the way in there. They were closing the zipper, and the zipper got stuck. And that was the opportunity the Jets needed. Tyrod Taylor kept them in the game. They take the lead with that block. but they left too much time for Baker. He had over a minute left, and he just drove right down the field. And there's a couple problems in this game that I'm going to talk about real quick, and I'll just try to move along. Mike Evans is going to be out with a hamstring injury. He's had a career of hamstring injuries. So super curious how long this will keep him out of the games. I'm thinking probably 3 to 4 weeks. Chris Godwin should be back though. So Egbuka, Godwin, Sterling Shepard, they're still going to have a really good receiving core. But there's a play in this game on the last drive that Baker Mayfield won the game. He made little notes here. Egbuka makes a catch on the sideline where he had possession, kind of lost it. Once he started gaining possession back, his foot was still on the ground, and then his other one touchdown, but the Bucks couldn't review it because it was under 2 minutes, and the NFL didn't review it. Bulls took a timeout to give them a chance to review it, and not a damn thing, nothing. With the edits, that probably just looked like it was all together, but I had a little pause in there for emphasis. Why didn't the NFL review that? Why wasn't there something to give a key on, hey, we need to look at this? I was just completely dumbfounded that if that cost them the game, that these officials probably need to sit down a week and think about their actions. Somebody should have saw that because if I saw it as a fan, referees had to have saw it. Like, at least take a look at it. Stop the game. Go and look at it. Don't just tell me that, yeah, they reviewed it upstairs and they're not saying there's anything to look at. Hell, give me the right to challenge it, then I'll make you look at it. But needless to say, let's give the Bucks the middle. And Baker says, it's all right. This is my house. I just drove right down the field, kick a game winner. The guy that blocked that, Will McDonald, didn't even rush from the same spot, which, hell, if I was him, I would have just lined right back up next to the center and I would have just jumped right over his ass again and went to block that. I'm a little fired up now because of that. Because that really frustrated me. I do play-by-play for high school football, and I see a lot of officials make calls and control games to the point that it is the most irritating thing to watch. And I just like to see fairness be called in these games, no matter who it's for, you know. And I just didn't think that was. So the Buccaneers, they win the game, but they don't cover the spread. They had -6.5. So damn Jets. Colts taking on Tennessee. Tennessee's a lot worse than anticipated. New Cam Ward is going to be good, but the team is so bad that the best that he's got is still not covering spreads. They are 3.5 point underdogs in this game, and I didn't even pick them because they've had bigger spreads. And when I thought they'd cover it, they would be right there in that threshold of not covering it. And it's only 2 weeks in, so they're really playing with my heart. I love Cam Ward, game player, but it was 41-20. I mean, it just really felt Cam Ward is just doing everything that he can, and it's just not enough. Man's been sacked, and I can count because he was sacked 6 times, 5 times, and 4 times now in this game. That's 15 sacks in 3 games. He's getting sacked 5 times a game. And if you play in my fantasy league with my coworkers, then you know that you lose 2 points every time you get sacked. Or whoever it is. Lamar Jackson got sacked 7 times Monday night. -14 points. -14. It's diabolical. But Indiana Jones, this dude is just tearing it up. Look, he went 18-25, but he threw for 228. 9.1 yards an average, completion, and 1 touchdown. Jonathan Taylor is one of the best running backs in the league. 17 for 102, 3 touchdowns. So fantasy owners, you are loving Jonathan Taylor after that game. Titans did a lot of work, and the Colts are the real deal. Moving along, Las Vegas at Washington. I took Washington because Las Vegas has Geno Smith, and he is playing fairly well. I believe he leads the league now probably in passing yards. I could be wrong. I know Russell was leading them, but he's going for a ton of yards in his games. In this game, he almost threw for 300 again, 10 yards an attempt. 19 of 29, 289, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He got sacked 5 times. Commanders defense just getting after him. They had Marcus Mariota playing. And look, this is what a game manager does. 15 to 21, 207, 1 touchdown. That's exactly what you want your backup quarterback to do. You want him to come into the game, execute the play calls, run the plays. He even carried the ball 6 times for 40 yards and a touchdown. Listen, Marcus Mariota is a savvy veteran. He's been in the league for years. He just wants his opportunity, and he's bounced around a few times. Sort of with the Titans, went to the Raiders, had the year with the Falcons. That ended kind of weird, to be honest with you. Got to spend time with the Eagles. He's with the Commanders last year. So second year in Washington, Marcus Mariota, high high drafted quarterback, but just didn't pan out from Oregon. I just don't think that style of offense benefited him coming into the league 100%. But hey, college football is college football. Commanders, though, they were 31-24. They're just a really good team. Can't wait to see Jaden Daniels get back. I'm not sure how his season's going to go. It's just that ultimate possibility is a sophomore slump for him. So there is a possibility that could happen for him. -5.5. Commanders cover that spread. 41-24 is the final. Moving on, Los Angeles Chargers and my man Justin, he's the guy. He is playing to the standards that people drafted him to play at. 6'6", strong arm, making all the throws, moving in the pocket. -2.5. They cover the spread. They win by 3. And once again, Denver just good team. I mean, they're expected to be contenders here. And I think right now you're going to have the Chargers and the Broncos as your two teams probably in the division. I really think that's going to be the front runners there. The Chiefs are there, but Chargers and the Broncos. Raiders. Baker's going to get them there, but they're not going to be a contender this year. They may have a late run, though, in the season. Just watch. But that was a very close game. Late in that game, Justin Herbert just steps up into the pocket, and he makes a great throw. He made probably one of the best throws that you're going to see. And getting hit, and he bounced his noggin right off the. No one even mentioned it. Check it out, though. You'll see it on the highlights. Chargers take that one. Close game, 23-20. Moving on, Seattle and the Saints in Seattle. New Orleans is just a bad team. I don't even have much to say except the uniforms are really nice. They're all white. Sam Darnold, once again, he has proven that he has resurrected himself. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback in this league. And so far, he has shown it. I mean, he's really shown that I'm solid. Like, if you get me in an offense that works for me and allows my skill set to benefit from the style of play that we're doing, I'm all in. And he is 14 of 18, 12 yards a pass, 12 yards. He's the David, Flacco, Tua, Rodgers, 218, 2 touchdowns. And Kenneth Walker, one of the best backs in the league, in my opinion, he really is. I watched him while he was at Michigan State, transferred from Wake Forest. 16 carries, 38 yards, 2 touchdowns, though, so that really helps out his fantasy scoring, a 2.4 average. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, that's that dude. Seahawks win 44-13. Saints gonna have their self a time. Trying to figure out that quarterback situation. We're gonna go ahead and move on. Oh, and I did pick the Seattle Seahawks, so another W for me in that column. And my wife's Dallas Cowboys. What happened? I know what's happening. They don't have Micah Parsons. I want to hear that, but that's the problem. Micah Parsons isn't there. They don't have a pass rush. It's affecting them. Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs is a great corner. He really is. Deron Bland, another great corner. They got two really great corners out there. They're number one corners anywhere they go. People are probably saying that Trayvon Diggs only had the one good season. How many people have that? He got paid, so they're going to have to put him out there. But Diggs is a corner that bites on stuff. He's trying to jump routes. That's what he did. Same thing with Blaine. Blaine has the record for interceptions for touchdowns. Diggs is a speed guy. He's going to rely on his speed to anticipate routes and jump them. Guys are baiting him into that. I think once he tore his ACL, he's probably got a mental block that he's dealing with. So he's trying to have that extra jump on things because, hey, maybe I'm losing a step. Maybe I'm not. But the Chicago Bears came out and punched him in the mouth, and they did not stop punch him in the mouth, unfortunately. And Cowboys fall to 1-2 on the season, and the Bears also 1-2. And CeeDee Lamb, that was a nasty, nasty ankle injury, my friend. I really hope that when he comes back, he's not going to be trying to play through it because nasty ankle sprain like that, that's the inside of his ankle, too. That's not the outside. That is the inside ankle. That is so hard to sprain, and it's not at all fun to recover from. I had that in college, and it was probably 8 to 10 months before I could jump off my left foot to where I didn't feel any discomfort. I mean, I could still jump off of it, but to where it didn't feel like I had something moving around or shifting in my ankle. This guy's going to be cutting left, right, stopping. Like, he's going to be doing so many different things that how much is that going to affect him? Hopefully not too much. Caleb Williams looking like the number one pick, though. Ben Johnson has got him blowing things up. 18, so 18 of 28, 298, 10.6 a pass, 5 touchdowns. 4. They didn't need to run the ball that well because the passing game was just on fire. Luther Burden, 3 catches, 101 yards, and a tutty. Bears killed me. Took Dallas plus 1.5. Bears win 31-14. Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. And if you saw my spreadsheet pick earlier, I was messing up my math because San Francisco won by 1, and they couldn't lose by any more than 1. And they were the ones I picked, and I put an X, but got 2 more to do. We'll be done with this, but I don't know what Kyler Murray's supposed to do to get any better in his game because I didn't say much about it for Bryce Young because he won 30-0, but I'm watching some of these throws that he's making in this game, and none of them are really over the middle unless the pocket has shifted around him. All of his stuff is moving off or throwing down the left or right side of the field. There's no center throwing. It's here or here. But if the middle's open, he'll throw it if he can see it. And I think that's affecting his game. I think teams are starting to take away the boundaries. And what does that mean? Well, if you take away the boundaries, when he goes to excuse me, when he goes to run, where does he run to? Runs to the boundaries. Defenders are there, so they're really taking away his 1 and 2, his arm strength and his ability to run. And running up the middle of the field is not always the best. He tore his ACL a couple years ago, non-contact. So I don't know how much he really wants to continue to run around, but he's fast. He can do it. But the Cardinals, once again, they just find a way to lose that game. They lose 16-15. Mac Jones does enough to keep San Francisco in the game and ultimately win it. Unfortunately, James Conner, though, was a tough one. He's going to be in for the season. Another running back I need to talk about. I forgot Najee Harris tears his Achilles. Absolutely nasty. If you want to watch that, you can Google it. Terrible Achilles tear. Also, we have James Conner, who you probably won't find a video on it, but man, I think he may have had a compound fracture there. He's in for the season, and that's going to be tough for him to come back from. He's not a fast guy, to begin with. He's more of a hard working back. Really does a good job fighting for extra yards. He's a pass catcher out of the backfield. We saw the year Le'Veon Bell decided that he was going to hold out for a contract. This guy proved that I can do everything that Le'Veon Bell does for a much cheaper price. And you hate to see him go. I mean, let's just give James Conner some props here. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons for the Cardinals in 2024 and 2023, and he didn't carry the ball any more than 236 times. So, I mean, just that's a remarkable stat. 5 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry. I mean, he's a hard-working back. Um, Great pass catcher out of the backfield with about 30 catches every year. For his career, he's got 289 career catches as a tight end, and he's 30 years old. You know, a couple years ago, you say 30 years old, and he's getting up there. Nowadays, you can push that 34, 35-year-old limit before you start to be an older geek. But good to see the Cardinals take that loss there, especially for James Conner. Moving on, Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, he gets the dub. I mean, Kansas City played just like they did last year, just score enough points, do enough on defense to win the game. And Russell Wilson, I don't know if he's washed or not. People want to say he's washed. People are asking for him to be benched. Well, guess what? Ladies and gentlemen, starting quarterback for the New York Giants, Jackson Dart, playing the Chargers. First, hey, sometimes you got to get thrown in the fire, and that's the best way to learn. I think the Giants are going to be in good hands. I hope Daboll can put a good game plan together for Dart. Stop making him think so much and just let him play. Because he's got the brains. If you watch the Gruden QB camp, Jackson Dart is a very good quarterback, and he has the potential to be great. But we all know potential will lose you games too, so don't settle on that too much. Kansas City wins that one. Had him as -5.5 favorites. They win 23-9. And Monday Night Football, you had the Detroit Lions traveling to the Baltimore Ravens. And man, I'm glad I picked Detroit at +5.5. Only because my boy Shane. Derrick Henry, 3 games now, lost fumble. Cannot have that. But I don't anticipate him continuing to do that. So don't worry about Derrick Henry. Have him in your fantasy league. Keep him in there. He's going to be okay. Baltimore Ravens, though, just have to trust him and continue to give him the ball. Don't just start taking him in games because now you're going to hear people talking about, well, maybe we need to trade him, maybe they need to get rid of him, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Derrick Henry's fine. The Ravens just have been finding a way these last few years to lose games that they should win. And that was a game that they had there, but Lamar got sacked 7 times. I mean, I believe he thinks his running skills are probably one of the best and that nobody's just going to tackle him that easily in the open field. The Ravens offense, do you let the Detroit Lions get after you? And then the Ravens just did whatever they needed to. I mean, they really did. Montgomery just had a game. So Ravens are 1-2 on the season. Not the end of the world. I expect Derrick Henry to get back on track. And I expect that this podcast was much better audio than not my last one. My last one was my best one, but this is the new laptop. I've configured things a little bit. Hopefully you can at least hear it and it's not echoing. It probably sounds a little distorted at sometimes, but hey, we're working with it. There we have it. That was my week 3 picks against the spread. I went 12-4. I will have the next episode either tomorrow or the following day. So maybe after Thursday Night Football, maybe before, but I have the picks done for, you know, truthful honesty purposes. I'll have it done. Let my wife look at it so she can attest that I did these before. And hopefully I can keep this streak going. So 8-8, 6-10, 12-4. This has been nice. Um, Anyone, if you've watched this long, I really appreciate it. This is something I'm doing for fun, and I'm going to continue to put these out, whether one person watches or 100 people watches. I am just something I love to do is talk about sports. So hopefully you can hear it in my talking in the podcast, and hopefully you subscribe, you like this, and share with your friends. Let them know I'm just an aspiring man trying to live out his dream in the podcast fantasy because I've been procrastinating this for a long time. So thank you for listening. It's been fun talking, and I will see you for the next episode of the Clemmontime podcast.